everybody, and welcome to the Fandom Flux Podcast, episode 64. I would like to apologize sincerely to the audience. We messed up last week.
Did we?
We did not acknowledge Rule 63 last week.
Aww.
It was a tragic mistake on our part. I cannot apologize enough for that. I'm so sorry. We'll have to make it up to you on episode 69.
Yeah, great.
That's what it's gonna have to be. Okay, yeah. So we'll get back to the gender bend rule on episode 69, which would make for an unusual 69, but whatever. We'll go with it.
New one.
You
new
weren't
experience,
expecting.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Whole new world.
Fantastic point of view. I'm your host, KCW, and with me we have Slicer.
Don't copy that floppy. That's Rule 64.
You. Zero.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
And Ken.
Hi, I'm Kenchi618, and did you know that cats can make over 1,000 different sounds, while dogs can only make around 10? I'll tell you, man, cats, not to be trusted.
I
Yeah, okay, I can agree with that. I love cats. I'm a cat person, but no, don't trust them, ever.
My cat's dead.
Kitties. Meow.
My cat's been dead for a while now, so yeah.
Meow.
We don't miss her that much.
Ouch.
I miss her. I never met her, and I miss her. Oh.
She's kind of horrible to people and everything and life.
Not
But
to
she
be
was
trusted.
adorable.
Not to be trusted.
She was not to be trusted. Yeah.
Well,
Still
this
bit
was a
people.
downer beginning. Thanks, Zero.
I love saying that. I love it. Anytime anybody mentions a cat, I'm like, my cat's dead.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
We're gonna talk about episode 63. You know, that's the gender bend rule. Oh, you know, we're going to have to bring it up again on episode 69. My cat's dead. Thanks.
Always here to bring equilibrium.
It's much appreciated. Yeah. So, we're going to start with what we're doing. So, what have we been doing, Slicer?
All right, first off, Casey asked me earlier this week to help out with Burden of the Hourglass, to help review it for... Do you have to remember the author's name?
Hokkaido
Master, that's it. Okay, I'm terrible with names, even username.
HM Master, I think he is on fanfiction.net. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, that's it. It's,
Why do I feel like I know that guy?
Do you?
I feel like I do.
Oh. Well, I've been making my way through that. I'm not really done yet, so I don't want to share anything about it, but I am liking it so far.
Yeah, it's HM Master, yeah.
And I've been as critical as I can, but honestly, with what I've read, there isn't much to complain about. It's still in the beginning stuff, and everything's getting set up. So, yeah. Last night, I started playing the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot upon Casey's recommendation. I commented that Dark Souls was getting boring since I had done 99.9% of everything. Which I'm not going to do that last 0.1%. Fuck that. And,
Wait, you mean you didn't cosplay as Senator Armstrong?
No, I did not do that yet. I'm afraid
what a waste
not.
You are. You're the Dark Souls guy and you messed up.
I'm not. I already played Boxer McGee, okay? That's just a boxing character. You just edit looks to be huge.
Yay! Boxer McGee.
Yeah. So the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, free-to-play game, kind of freemium, but it's not obtuse. You can get by pretty easily by just never spending anything. And it has the most amazing balance system I have ever run across in a game. Like, you can attack other people's castles, and you defend your own, and you can't validate your castle, as in it does not update, so other people face the stronger version without you running through it first. So you
Yeah,
can't...
you have to run through your own traps and monsters and setup before you can let other people try. So you have to prove yourself that it's possible to run through before you can force other people to try and get through it.
And that I found that hilarious. You can't make something horribly broken because then you'll die against it and you can't save it. And it's really funny. I discovered the hard way that I'm really good at defending things and I'm okay at attacking things, and that was a really bad surprise. I hate my own dungeons.
Yeah, that can happen.
Lastly, hunting season started on Saturday morning, and hunting season is over for our family already.
Man, you started late.
In December? Yeah, it's kind of late for hunting season.
It's shotgun season. We go last, pretty much. Because after shotguns, nothing is calm. Everything is jittery and jumpy, and yeah. You don't want to bow hunt a deer that are spooked by shotguns. And on the first day, I didn't see anything, but my dad got one, so we left. And then we processed that deer, got all that done. Second day, I saw 3 deer and I was sitting on the first one, and I'd been sitting there for like 4 hours, and I hear a gunshot in the distance, so I get everything ready. I turn the safety off, turn this red dot sight on, and I hear see this deer cresting the hill like this majestic, delicious steak dinner. And it walks toward me, I'm waiting, heart pounding, and then it just stops, and then it starts eating. So I line up, take a shot, miss, and the deer just does nothing. It just stands there and continues eating. Shoot a second time, third time, fourth time, and it finally looks up and just looks around. Like, what's up? What's happening? And at this point, I'm just... self-loathing has taken its course, and I'm just like, God damn it. And
nice shooting, Church. That's good.
Finally, I shoot it the last and final time. If I missed that shot, I had no more ammo left in my gun. And you always know when you hit them in the spine, because they just drop. It's just instant. And so, yeah, I hit it like right above the hips in the back. And right after that, I see my dad and my brother walking across the field. And so I just have this deer flopping around about 50 feet in front of me because it can't go anywhere. And so I just have to stand there for the longest 2 minutes of my life because I'm not going to try to take another shot and miss while it's physically unable to move. I will never hear the end of it if I miss. So I just tell my dad I can't shoot the broadside of a barn today, so I'm just going to go up there and finish it off. And that's what I did. So that was great. Second one, we were pushing, as in just you line up and you just walk through a forest, and anything you see, people shoot at it if it's safe to do so. Unfortunately, we spooked one and it wasn't, because it ran right in between me and the guy next to me. And while I didn't kill that one or even hit it, I did get to see a majestic buck trip over a metal wire about waist high. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Because it was just doing its little prance run thing, and then it just flipped head over heels. Right into a ditch, too.
When that happens, that's the deer you don't kill. You don't kill. You're just like, okay, you've had enough. Go home.
That was probably most of how I missed the next few shots, because I couldn't line up the shot after that. I couldn't concentrate anymore.
Just go home.
PETA hates this podcast.
Who?
PETA.
Oh, PETA. Whatever. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Horrible people.
Okay, we have our episode title. That didn't take long.
Mm-hmm. And the last and final one I saw, which is the highlight of this season for me, was we were pushing another property, and I was within 5 feet of this buck before it stood up. I didn't see it until then, and I panicked, as one should expect with something with antlers that size being that close. I thought I was going to have to go for my knife, and it was going to charge me, and I was going to have to grapple at the ground. But No, it took off running. I shot once, probably missed. Shot a second time, thought I missed because it was behind a tree or brush at this point. And so I just stopped in case one of the other hunters wanted to take a shot at it. And I didn't want to be in the way. That would be bad. And after like 30 seconds, I walk forward a little bit, go around the brush, and notice it's just kind of flopping around again. And so I'm like, yeah, I got it. Probably spined it. Walked up, I took a shot at its head, put it down for good. And then I walked up, and I had blown both its front legs off.
Oh.
Ow.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Slicer. He'll blow both of your front legs off, even if you don't have them.
So yeah, I
Slicer kneecap
down to about the top of his head. It went up bottom of his jaw. So it was a nice clean kill, instant death thing. That thing. And so I have the skull. I'm just gonna wait till it's a skull and then hang it up somewhere.
I'm gonna drink fruit punch out of it daily.
Yep. It's not gonna be a very good cup with a hole in it, but yeah, sure.
Slicer kneecapping deers like RoboCop.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's my week. That's it.
We're quite the cast, aren't we? I just want to point out the MMA fighter, the hardcore as fuck hunting guy, me who apparently lives in the fucking what was it?
The ghetto.
The block.
The
ghetto.
Caves on the block. Caves on the block.
And then we have Zero.
Oh, the ghetto.
The ghetto. In the ghetto. I forget the rest of the words.
And then we have Zero.
And then Zero, the adorable berserker, apparently.
Dude, seriously,
Until we see it, we can't take it seriously, okay, Zero?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but when I get mad, then the only option is to curse, and I physically am unable to do that. I have restrained myself.
Oh.
What, with chains? With mystical seals? What the hell are you...
Yes.
What?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
I'm gonna use one of my command fields on Zero to command him to curse when he's angry.
I'm not. You're not my master. Gosh darn it.
He has a guy. If he tries to curse, then his heart will explode.
Ooh, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
I respect the decision to live life like that, but it just baffles me.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
So, yeah, thanks for that, Slicer. Anything else to add?
No, that's it. Just
Okay.
the deer is going to be delicious.
It's always more delicious when you blow
And
the caps
decorative.
off.
And decorative.
Okay, Zero.
So I beat Dragon Age Inquisition.
Don't.
It's been 2 weeks.
No.
That doesn't mean...
That doesn't mean you can spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything, but I'm going to say just my feelings on it real quick. I won't spoil any specific things. It felt, compared to, say, the Dragon Age Origins ending, it was there's a lot less to it than I wanted, I guess I should say. It was...
My understanding is it's a pretty open ending.
And, yeah... There's that, and like I feel like Dragon Age Origins, like mechanically worked better. Is like the setting for Inquisition was great, the atmosphere was great. I guess the atmosphere was great. Maybe not exactly the setting was perfect, but the way the fight went down, it was anticlimactic. It felt like that. It was just like, oh, it's over. There's nothing more. I mean, of course, there's post game, like you can do all the stuff you couldn't do before, like you didn't do earlier. But there's no special post game missions because that's all probably going to be DLC. And yeah, it was kind of, it left me with an empty feeling of that's it. Really?
So it's the opposite problem Bayonetta or Wonderful 101 had, or any Platinum game, seemingly.
Yeah. So, Yeah, that happened. Also, my sister got baptized. I went to her baptism. As I said last week, she's been recovering, and she's changed a lot, and I'm really happy for her. So, that's good. And I'm making this week kind of short in case you can tell. I was playing D&D with my friends, and we're all on this really evil ship, and I'm a mage.
Oh god, here we go.
And
Okay.
so, like, I mean, this ship is really, really evil.
Got skulls on it and stuff.
It's a big black ship in the middle of a storm that it creates, and it fires lightning mortars. It's
All right.
The Black
cool.
Fleet. So I'm in there, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go down to the third floor, and I go down there, and there's sections of the ships named after the 7 deadly sins, right? So the section I go into, like, as soon as I go down, first,
Lust.
I'm first of all chased by lust. Yeah, that was basically the first sin section I got to after I was chased down by horses, which I blew up with fireballs, and because there were horses and illusions inside the ship that try to kill you. So lust section, it was my friend and her girlfriend were in bed. They're still sleeping when I entered there, and I set up a telepathic communication with everybody before we entered. And I'm like, hey, I found you and your girlfriend in bed. Are you guys awake? Because there's like multiples of everybody in the party, like all over this area. It's like, no, we're up here. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna set you on fire.
That
was my. I was like, I'm not even.
Anticlimactic.
At first I was like, okay, there's a bed. I'm not even gonna go check who it is. I'm just gonna set it on fire. And then everybody in my group was like, no, you have to go see who it is. I'm really curious as to who's in the lust section. And my friend and her NPC girlfriend. So Fireball. And then I entered the Wrath section, and and since this was a new character because my previous character had died, I had pretty much no affiliation with most of the party at this point. So I entered, and in the Wrath section were 2 different torture rooms, and one torture room had all the people one PC hated, and the other one had all the people another PC hated. And there were torture rooms, and the thing is with this area is if you do the sin, then you get technically punished or screwed over, right? So it was supposed to tempt them to be like, oh, you can torture this person, do whatever you want to them, you can kill them. And it was supposed to tempt them, but I got there first. So I released all of them and recruited them. Well, invisible. I did. So I am an invisible man leading a group of the party's most hated people through a dungeon, basically.
That's probably not going to go well.
Yeah, but I'm invincible and I can teleport.
Oh, I don't mean for you. I mean
I
for
know.
the other people.
Yeah, and plus but these most hated are like everybody, like a bunch of the other people. They're fakes, right? So they're not like full power, because if they were full power, it could overpower people. But so if they see me, they'll probably think it's a fake me and try to kill me. But at the same time, it's really awesome. I am leading the most hated people of our entire party, and I don't even care because I haven't even been with the party that long. That's fantastic.
That's one way to look at it, I suppose.
Because I got separated from my group I was with, so I had to get people because I was all alone.
Right. You need squishy meat shields.
Yeah, basically. Because there are there are 8 mini bosses in this area, which is ridiculous. So
I can respect a wizard's desire for meat shields.
Yeah. So, and I went through a hallway and it all of a sudden got foggy, and then there was this weird, creepy angel chick with the Lost Sinner's mask that appeared. He described it as basically the Lost Sinner's mask. And she's with her hands were covered in blood, and she got up to me, and I'm invisible, by the way, and caresses my cheek with blood and viscera on her hands, and I'm just frozen what? And then she hands me a knife and disappears. So my character's freaking out right now. It's like a spooky, spooky ship. And, also, I've just been writing M1N470, and it's been going slowly. more slowly than I ever thought it would. And because I have to deal with, multiple characters in combat, which is something I haven't had to do much in the past. So trying to get that to work is really troubling me. And that's about it.
D&D is weird.
It's weird
in what it does to characters. I mean, that whole scenario that you just outlined of, like, temptation and stuff, player characters aren't going to give a shit because they're player characters, and there is no consequences for the actual player.
Yeah, except for the PCs in my group, the players in my group, they are really into, like, playing their character straight, like, as their character, like, really into the role-playing, so they, like, one guy was like, yeah, I totally actually would probably been really, really tempted to do it, and give into that, because that's what my character would do. Whereas I'm a lot more, like, loose about it, I guess. Not as hardcore into it. I do what I want. But,
it seems like eventually a lot of players will just start rolling or playing a character because it's more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of boring to just play I want loot and stuff.
Yeah. I play my character to an extent, but there are some times when I'm just like, I just want to do this. And then I can justify it in character usually, because I make my characters like that.
Chaotic neutral is the I just don't give a fuck alignment. It's the get away with anything and call it role-playing alignment.
My first character was chaotic good. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's about it for my week.
Okay. I'll go next, and Ken can go last then. I'm trying to switch it up so I don't go last every week like I usually do.
Oh, Casey doesn't want to be last.
I don't care if I'm last, I just want to mix it up. So, I watched some films this weekend. Had a bit of a sci-fi binge. Has everyone seen the Star Trek reboots?
Yes.
The J.J. Abrams films?
Mm-hmm. I saw the first one.
Yeah. You know the joke about Abrams and his lens flare fetish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had no idea it was that severe until I saw the first 5 minutes of the Star Trek 2009 version. Holy shit, there's a lot of lens flares in that film.
Yep.
Like, I had no idea how severe it was. It really defies belief. He thinks this looks good? This director?
I don't know, honestly. I've never heard his opinion on it.
I mean, he puts it in every film, except for Star Wars a little bit. I didn't see much of that in the trailer, but still, it's gross. It doesn't look good. All those lens flares, it's way too much. There's one point where it's just a light flickering behind the character that the shot is, focused on, and it's like a strobe light. It's more than distracting, it's dizzying. So, yeah, I was not a fan of that. Films themselves, though, pretty good. People should really stop shitting on them for not being the original films. Because, kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Yes, Khan is not the fucking revenge is a dish best served cold guy anymore. But it's not the same film. That story's been told already. If you want to see that film, go see that film. It's my opinion, anyway. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Cumberbatch was fun. As a not-quite villain. Sort of villain. It's very strange the way they handled that character. They made him sympathetic and then kind of tried to make him a villain in the last 5 minutes. Didn't really work very well. Oh well. And then I watched a much better sci-fi film because I watched Serenity again. Oh, Serenity was a good film. It's like the fourth time watching it and I still cry at that film. It's great.
Oh, okay. Wait. Which one is that one?
Serenity is the sequel film to Firefly. series.
Ah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that film. People complain that series didn't get the love it deserved, but for what we got of it, all of it was amazing. So I'd rather not have more of it if more of it might have sucked, because as it stands, it's kind of the perfect sci-fi series to me. So, you know, I enjoyed it. Those were some good films to watch over a weekend. Everyone's all of a sudden silent. I don't know why.
I've never watched them, so I don't really have anything to input.
Never?
Yeah, no, never.
Have you never watched any Joss Whedon show?
Not really.
Holy crap. You are... I don't know what to make of that. I mean, 90% of the internet would lynch you for saying something like that.
I'm
It's
just
bizarre.
not really into sci-fi. A lot of it just bores me, I guess.
Well, whatever. So, Dragon Age Inquisition. I was going to bring this up when Zero was talking about it, but then he moved on too fast. So, I started again. I still haven't finished it, but I started again because playing a human is boring. Because, once again, you're a noble, and I've seen that story 3 times.
They didn't think to change your background at all?
See, the thing is, in Dragon Age Origins, there were 2 origins that you could choose as a human. You could be the human noble, or you could be the human mage. Thing is, the human mage is from the Amel family, which if you play Dragon Age 2, reveals to be a noble family.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, you are playing a noble in Dragon Age 1. In Dragon Age 2, you play as Hawk, who is also a son of the Amel family, and ends up being a noble.
Mm.
And in Dragon Age 3, if you play as a human, then you are either... well, either way, whether you're a mage or not, you are from the Trevelyan, I think it is, which is a noble family in Ostwick. So there has not been a common origin for any human character in the series at all.
Whereas you play as an elf, it's usually, you're probably either a slave or you're just a random Dalish elf.
Yeah, you're either a pseudo-slave underclass kind of character, or you're foresty, we're holier than thou kind of character. But at least you get the choice. I mean, humans are always nobility, apparently. There are no commoners. I guess that's how it works. So yeah, I found the human character boring. So I went for my super role-playing start. I rolled a Kunari mage.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to do next. It's literally like I was going to, I gotta do Kunari Mage next. How is it?
I have not gone very far in it. I haven't even started the Hinterlands yet, which is the first major area.
Right.
So far, not that much different. Every now and again, someone will raise their eyebrows that a Kunari is supposedly the Herald of Andraste.
Yeah, that's kind of against everything.
That's about all it's come to so far, though. Just raised eyebrows.
If you just keep saying, I am the Herald of Andraste, you will get dialogue choices saying, yeah, I actually believe I am the Herald, and it's interesting. So just keep doing that, and you'll be like, yeah, I'm the Herald of Andraste. Andraste blessed me, Andraste guide me. And everybody's like, what? Why? This makes no sense. You're breaking my worldview.
No, see, that's the thing. I don't think that happens. Because, like I say, all that's happened so far is someone's commented that I'm taller than they figured I would be. In fairness, 7 foot tall guy.
I feel like
not including the horns.
I feel like the reactions are pretty much the same for all non-humans, because I didn't notice too much of a difference when I was playing as an elf compared to when I was playing as a dwarf. You know, save for an interesting interaction with Solus. I mean, that was about it.
Nothing significant has changed so far, except for a couple of lines of dialogue and a conversation with the diplomat. I forget what her name is because she's so uninteresting. Sure, whatever. She's that uninteresting. I don't care. I'm more interested in what's going to happen when I get to Val Royeaux. Because a Kunari walking into the, center of government for Orlais would be a significant thing at any time, but them proclaiming themselves to be, the new messiah of their own religion is kind of a slap in the face. You would expect a lynching immediately.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping something significant happens there, because it should. By all rights, there should be riots in the streets over this. So, I'm going to reserve judgment until I find out. But I don't have high hopes for anything significant happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't either.
No.
Oh well. It did have one big upside, though, because, the operations?
Mm-hmm.
You get some from your old mercenary band, which is the origin for the Kunari. You were a Tal Vashoth mercenary. And it's some of the best deadpan comedy I've read in a while. Like, he keeps leaving PS and PPS notes on the end of his letters, the mercenary leader, and they're all gold, because it's like, you got blown up, and we didn't get paid. We need to fix that. And he's like, hey, you need to send us some help so we can get our people out of prison and stuff. And then you sort it out, and he's like, yeah, thanks. Oh, the first message, he's like, PPS, if you're dead, disregard this message. And when you get it back, he says, yeah, someone helped us get our guys out of prison. He's like, I assume that's you. If so, then thanks. P.S. Good job on not being dead. P.P.S. We still haven't got paid. So, yeah, that was much better than the bullshit that you get for the human one, so I enjoyed that. That was fun. So, thanks for not being dead. Good job. Yeah. So, there's some new stuff to find in different playthroughs, but not as much as I was hoping for, so we'll see how that turns out. And maybe I'll actually finish it this time rather than stopping halfway through. Interesting thing, though. Did I mention that I got the proper fortress that you get about halfway through the game last time?
I don't think so.
No? I got about that far, and not much further.
Alright.
But I get what the theme is of this game, and it probably should have hit me earlier, it being divine providence. And it does it pretty well. Subtly, I should say. Because all the way through the game you can keep denying that you were chosen by Andraste or the Maker or whatever. But every now and again, it'll give you little hints that maybe, quite possibly, you are being guided by these divine figures, and there is divine providence at work. Like, at the escape from such and such place that happens when something happens, and you get lost in a blizzard for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that there's a little fire burning when you get out of the caves?
Yeah.
In the middle of a blizzard? And it happens to be in the exact direction that you need to go?
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's about the level of, indication that you get that maybe something bigger is at work. And I thought that was very well done and subtle, because in theory there are rational explanations for such things, but it's pretty hugely coincidental.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of thing that makes people wonder about divine providence being at work. And I thought it was well done, myself. Like I say, I haven't gotten that much further than that into the game, but I appreciate it. It was nice, subtle storytelling and reinforcing the theme, so...
It's one of those little things they could... you might not notice it at first, or even at all. You just chalk it up to a gameplay thing. But if somebody ever brings it up in the future, then you might start connecting the dots, and that's a good feeling.
It's not even that. It's just you. For this segment, you are all on your own and lost from everyone, and you have no idea how to get back to them. And there's just one fire burning in the middle of a blizzard, pointing you the way to go. And that's it. So, and even after that, you can still say, no, I don't believe that this is divine providence. And you can keep going with that through the whole game, I imagine. But there's little things that keep niggling at you, and I like that. It's good. Reinforcing the theme, like I said. I appreciate that. That's pretty much it for me. Ken.
Yo. Let's see. Well, first of all, I somehow wrecked the inside of my mini fridge.
Oh, dude, how?
Trying to get the ice out of the little freezer part.
Oh.
Did you start chipping it out, or did you thaw it out properly?
I didn't have the patience to thaw it out.
Yeah,
that was a good 2 seconds of silence. It was very telling.
Yeah. You knew exactly what I did, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was not a good idea. So, yeah, I need to replace it now. Wonderful. And in addition to that, I also have to say this. Fuck you guys. All three of you.
Okay, he's been saying this since we started recording Manga Reflux, like 2 hours ago. Okay, Ken, what did we do?
Okay. For 1 year straight, entire year, I have been pretty much in the dark on what pretty much 90% of our what have we done or whatever the hell ends up circling around to. 1 year, despite hearing about it every week, I have never played a Persona game.
So you haven't, that's true.
Yeah. For some reason last week, I don't remember what led to it, but I wound up buying 3 and 4.
Oh dear.
Oh.
And I'm playing 3, and I can't fucking stop. And I'm not getting anything done in my free time now. Why did you do this to me?
We enjoy it.
You're really enjoying 3 that much?
I can't stop.
Yay!
No.
I like 3.
I have things to do. I haven't even gotten to 4 yet.
Oh,
Sure
4 is actually an improvement upon 3.
Yeah.
So, and 5's coming out next year.
Yeah. Can look forward to that.
I hate all of you.
Is the battle theme stuck in your head yet?
No.
Yeah, it will be.
Who's your waifu? Or do you not have one yet?
I don't have one yet. I hate you guys. You guys suck.
I'd assume it'd be Akihiko, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, bro. Training, boxing, punching.
We stereotype out of love, Ken. Well, think about it this way. Once you finish, you'll have a new series to write about.
I am not a unique snowflake.
Of course not.
I don't know what that's in reference to.
I was the only one of you that hadn't played it and was proud of it. But you wore me down.
Aren't you glad, though? Are you enjoying the game?
Yes.
So, you see, it's a good thing.
It was only $10 on PlayStation Network.
Oh, it's on PSN. I was wondering, $10 for that game? It's pretty rare, so... It's not actually that cheap, usually. I paid 30 quid for it.
Wait, what version are you playing?
FES.
Okay.
The good one, then.
Yeah. That means you get to play the answer.
That means you don't ever have to play the answer.
Yeah.
Yukari, I hate you.
I don't even care about the story mode. It's just like it's hardcore mode. It's ridiculously difficult. At least it was for me. I just looked up stuff on YouTube for it instead of playing it.
Fun, so
yeah, it's really not. No.
It's not fun. It's not particularly story relevant. Yeah, just give it a miss. Just play the main game. That's like 90 hours in itself. So
I've noticed.
I'm sure it's a short game, and you'll get
It's
through it
not
really
short.
quick.
I already know about this. I've already played for over 24 hours. I'm not even out of fucking August yet.
Oh, you're making good time.
Yeah.
You're like halfway through the game. That's pretty good.
Gotta get them social links, son.
I know.
Yeah, all about them links.
It is literally like you have to follow a guide to get it in Persona 3. Persona 4 is a lot more lax about it.
Yeah. 3, you need a guide.
I think you get 3 days spare if you follow the guide.
Wow.
That's how much leeway you have.
I
For fair sake, because it adds the Aeon link, so...
Yeah. I actually bought a little booklet at a game store that had that guide in it.
Yeah, so if...
That sounds pretty useful.
It was, yeah. I don't think it had how to craft the personas, though, so I didn't do that link. It's not terrible at it.
That's not a link. In 3, anyway. That's 4.
4. I meant 4, yeah. It had the guide for 4 in it.
4 has much more leeway. It gives like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry, Ken. We're sorry.
I'm not.
That's my week.
That's... Oh, right, that's... Okay, that's all you... Okay, that's...
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for that.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
Hate all of you. All of my hate.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, don't worry. I mean, you have the rest of the Shin Megami Tensei games to play after this.
Oh, yeah.
Strange Journey, Nocturne.
Digital Devil Saga.
Yeah.
SMT4, maybe.
Strange Journey's fun. It's fine. It's not spectacular, but it's fun. Okay.
Dancing All Night.
Hey, when you play the arena games, you'll actually be able to understand the characters. And you like fighting games, right, Kenshi?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's that weird sort of fighting. It's like what was it, BlazBlue?
BlazBlue. It's a little bit like that.
It's that kind of style.
Except you have like personas that are kind of like stands. That's it.
Okay. Topics. We're moving on to topics. Sorry, Ken.
I wanted this conversation track ended. I didn't need you talking about Persona for 45 minutes again.
Oh.
Okay.
But we wanted to.
I know you did.
So what do we think about Persona 5? I mean, the fucking Beatles haircut guy.
God damn it.
People in Japan are calling him Harry Potter.
Also accurate, though I do think the Ringo Starr thing's... Not Ringo Starr. The other one. The one with the glasses.
I think it's just young Eisen, though.
Really? I don't see that.
I'm going to name him Eisen.
Eisen had the square frame glasses, not the round ones.
He'll get the square ones. Believe it. Yeah, I'll name my character after Eisen. Or Kutsuki.
You know, there's a song I listen to that has Believe It in the lyrics, and I can't listen to it anymore.
Yeah.
Alright, we have topics.
Topics. So, first topic. Generating investment in a story. So, as Slicer mentioned earlier, Hokkaido Master asked me to take a look at one of his fics. Something Hourglass.
Burden of the Hourglass, I think.
Burden of the Hourglass, yes. And I picked up, well, apparently, as is becoming kind of habit, I've picked a topic out based on one of the flaws that I found, because I'm a dick and I need to announce people's flaws out to the entire world.
Yeah, basically.
Or the 200 people that listen to the podcast. So, what I found to be his biggest flaw, in that story at least, and it's something that he's apparently working on, and I gave a couple tips on improving, was his characters aren't particularly well developed to the point where we can't root for them. So we don't understand the characters well enough to get invested in their stories. So, to use his fic as an example, it's a time travel story. Naruto goes back in time to fix things for the Jinchuriki, and that's about all we know about him.
It's pretty heavily implied the village turned on him at some point.
Is it? Because I didn't get that bit.
In the beginning.
All I got is
yeah.
he goes back, and that's about it.
It mentions the villagers' stares becoming actually hostile, or something to that effect, instead of just dismissive.
Someone had a loud noise. I don't know what that was. Yeah, but even that is not much to go on.
It doesn't really tell you. It's a bit too much mystery, but I mean, it's kind of a means to an end, I suppose. It's not important.
But even so, it's established pretty well that he had been living in Konoha for like 10 years, maybe, after the end of the war. I think it was.
Something
I'm not entirely sure.
That. I don't know.
It's clarified that it is not the same as canon. Different things happened. For one thing, you learned how to use a sword, apparently. But it's different enough that we don't really know the character anymore. I pointed out early on when I was reviewing that there's not a lot of canon Naruto there that we can latch onto and say, yes, this is this character, thus I know this character and I'm invested in this character. And that was ended up not being a problem just for Naruto. Because the entire goal of the fic is to bring together the Jinchuriki. So first he goes to get Gaara, basically. And, in fairness, does a very good job with Gaara. Gives a lot of establishing moments of what his character is like at that point, because he's still a child. He's like 6. And it gets introduced at the point before the whole Yashimaru trying to kill him thing. A lot of establishment of what his character was like at that point, how it develops with Naruto's interference, all of this stuff. It's great, it works. A lot of establishing moments so we get invested in who the character is and what he wants as time goes on. But then we get introduced to the other characters, who are basically characters that we don't know.
And the story doesn't give you much to go on with them either, even as time goes on. I assume it might get better for the earlier characters since they have more screen time, but yeah.
A little bit of a spoiler, because, whatever. Sorry. I can't make the point without actually introducing them. Karen gets introduced as a grass ninja, or a grass ninja wannabe, basically. It's before she's in the academy.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know anything about the character at this point. We know what she was like when she was 17, because that was when she was introduced in canon. We never actually saw her backstory at all.
All we know is that she has the sensing ability, which is confirmed because that's how she picks up on Naruto and Gaara being unique.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we get for her character. We know she has a great aunt, and we know that character dies. We don't know how this affects Karen. We don't know what she was like before this happened. We don't know what she wants out of life now that her aunt is dead and now that she's following Naruto. We don't know any of that. It doesn't really get established. She just starts following him. And that's not enough to go on. Go on, Zero.
For me, when I see that, I'm like, okay, cool, I can start creating some backstory here. That's my first thought. It's like, alright. Because I like to do that for characters, especially in Persona 3, where you don't get to hear a lot of the backstories of some of the characters. To craft your own stories, even if there's not a lot to go on. But, that's not easy for everybody. And especially for this, like, okay, her grandma's died. How has that affected her and what she's become? And how do you think the village would view her from what little we see of her?
Yeah. How did her great aunt affect her at all?
Yeah.
I mean, it's assumed that she learned a lot from this character, but we don't see any of that. All we see is this is a character that she cared about, and this character's gone now, and then we don't actually see how that affects her at all.
And how did her great aunt die is a really interesting thing.
Illness.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah. That's about
was-
all we get. It's
yeah.
illness.
It
Yeah.
never really specifies.
But if you
yeah,
really
some
wanna-
kind of illness.
If you really, 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 really want to get a little bit tricky, you can say, oh, the illness was actually some sort of poisoning, or the illness was brought to her on purpose by somebody else. If you really want to get into it, but you don't have to.
That's more intrigue than investment,
Yeah,
but
but-
it would do well in generating investment by giving her something to react to and to maybe generate a goal by.
Yeah. This is
She needs motivation beyond follow Naruto. She needs her own goals and motivations. Otherwise, she is just a puppet that is being used by Naruto.
like, say, hey, I'll follow you, but let me just investigate a few things behind the scenes about what's going on over here. I might be able to find some answers if I go with you. You know, have motives of her own.
Yeah.
All things considered, I think that is probably what happened to her, because Kareen was letting her bite her, so she should be fully healed. That combined with the Uzumaki regeneration healing, whatever, continuous healing by the hospital staff, or poisoning by the hospital staff, seems like the most likely thing that would keep her down and eventually kill her.
So that's interesting. That's kind of like, okay, you got some motives, you got some goals here that you can work with. It's just about trying to find, I guess, especially with fan fiction, you have to find where you can, like, manipulate some of the information to show another side of it that wouldn't have been shown in canon.
It's building the characters in a way that the audience can care about them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I say, Naruto has no real backstory, effectively. We know broad strokes of it, maybe. He was kind of given a hard time because he was Naruto, Jinchuriki, etc. But the specifics of that, the people he knew, the way he knew them, the way he interacted with them, how they affected him as a person, none of that. We can't assume any of that because so much has changed from what canon would be.
Yeah.
So, effectively, he is a new character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he is not treated like a new character by giving him relevant exposition on who he is, what he wants, and what his goals are. Aside from saving the Jinchuriki, and then that's it. That's all we get.
Yeah.
He wants to save the Jinchuriki, and any plans he has beyond that are shrouded in mystery, I guess. But getting invested in a character means knowing the character, and you can't just have broad strokes when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I realize the importance of mystery and intrigue and backstories and such, especially for this kind of setup, but you need to give us something to work on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something to work with, something to latch onto, so that we can say, yes, this character is worth reading about, as this case is.
Worth rooting for. Like,
yeah.
I want this character to succeed in what they're doing. Maybe it's because I like the character's personality, but mostly because, I know what this character wants, and I kind of want them to get it.
Not only that, but it's nice to know that their actions are explainable or consistent, even. Just, this character is reacting this way because of this. And they will always react that way unless something changes.
Consistency is one of the things that a lot of people can find hard to achieve with characters. But if you have it, you're good. You're golden. Because consistency is something that's really, I want to say, rarely found in most fics with characters. There's always at least some sort of inconsistency.
Yeah, if it's like, if you introduce something about a character, and then later on that character does something, and you don't need to mention why, but the audience can just infer that it was because of this earlier thing, that's good writing. That is good foreshadowing, that is good character development. That is what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And another problem that this author had, it's minor by comparison. Well, most of this is technically minor because it's competently written. That's fine. This one extra thing would bring it over the top, as it were. But the last problem I had with it was the introduction of Han, the Jinchuriki of the Four Tails?
Five Tails.
Five Tails?
Yeah.
Okay, Five Tails. I forget which one that was, but I don't really care. It doesn't really matter.
Ugly
to be honest
horse
with you.
thing.
Okay. The dolphin horse, I guess.
Oh, it's Bubble again?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm
It's established that he invents stuff, and his inventions aren't taken to very well by the village because he's a Jinchuriki. But it's not the audience that can establish that themselves because Naruto tells us that. The problem is with that is, while yes, it's probably accurate, it's not the audience figuring it out for themselves, so it's not the audience getting to understand the character, it's Naruto telling us what the character is.
That's not great, yeah.
Not to mention, because of how little we know about Naruto, we can't really say how much of his assumption is based on bias.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that. Yeah, past bias.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Current bias, really.
It's one character we don't know telling us about another character we don't know, and we have to trust their word because we have no other source for his backstory. And that's not great.
Projection can be a very dangerous and very human thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, we talked about it last week. Flashbacks are a good thing. I mean, this was one of the things that I was talking about for how to recap events, but this story could use some flashbacks because they are very good at establishing characters and saying what they were like and how that led to how they are now. So, if I had to give one more piece of advice, do some flashbacks.
In moderation, but yes.
Mm.
They couldn't hurt.
So, yeah. So that was what inspired this topic. Let's talk about this topic, shall we?
Okay.
All right.
So, yeah. Do we have anything else to say for this topic? I think we pretty much ran the gamut.
Make your characters human. Give them flaws. Give them very clear flaws if you need to. I mean, if you absolutely need to do... If it's a skill you don't really have, I guess Flanderize them if you absolutely have to. Just give them some kind of characterization.
Zero said something about this before. Make sure the audience knows what their goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If they're just floundering around and you don't know what exactly they're doing, making all these moves and doing all this stuff and making all these preparations for 20 chapters in, it's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Admittedly, Naruto canon did establish an end goal. It established several end goals, really.
Yeah.
Naruto wanted Sasuke back in Konoha. He wanted peace for the world.
And to be Hokage.
You know, and to be Hokage. That was pretty much his three goals, but they informed just about every single one of his decisions.
Yeah.
Mm.
So while he was a very simple character, he was easy to understand in how he came to conclusions and how he would go about doing things. Because everything came down to those three things.
Yeah. And really, like, goals are, I think, goals and motivations are some of the central parts to every single character. And if you don't have those for your character, then what's your character even doing? Are they searching for a goal or motive? Because that in itself is a goal or motive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but if you have nothing, then they're not a
You
character.
don't really have a character.
Yeah.
If
You
your
don't got
main
a
character doesn't have a goal or anything, it basically becomes kind of a story about nothing.
Yeah.
Basically.
You're not going to invest in that.
And those do exist. Those little, you know, slice of life type things where it's typically like just random moments, not really anything in particular, but that's not really a story at that point.
It's a sitcom. That's essentially about it. Yeah, I think we're done with generating investment in a story. It's an oddly titled topic, but, you know.
I guess. One last thing, though. Having motivations for your character not only helps flesh out the character, but it helps the author as well. Because if you're ever stuck on dialogue or something like that, just look at their motivations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a focal point that you can always bring it back to, I guess. If you get a bit bogged down. Okay, so, next topic. The Mr. Potato Head characters. So, Perfect Lionheart apparently wrote a story a while ago, like, probably years ago, where he replaced Harry Potter... Well, it was basically a theoretical exercise, where he replaced Harry Potter in the first book of the series with a Mr. Potato Head toy. Slicer showed me this before we started recording this podcast. So, from his, you know, research into the events of that story, only one thing would change. And that was Hermione getting saved, because that was the only thing that he actually actively did in that story. So, we're going to talk about Mr. Potato Head characters. Characters that, if they didn't exist or were just replaced by Mr. Potato Head toys, the story would not change in the slightest.
Really quick, can this be a TV tropes thing? Because that'd be awesome. I wish it would evolve to that one day.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure there probably is a trope for this. I just don't know the name of it.
Yeah. But,
well, people should find that and rename it to be the Mr. Potato Head character. Let's vandalize TV tropes while we're at it.
Yeah. Alright, but, so, any characters off the top of your head, like, you know, off the top of your mind, any characters you can think of that are fitting this mold?
Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Poor
unfortunately fits.
Poor, unfortunate Chad. That Mr. Potato Head toy would die just as well to
Shunsui.
Churaku, yeah.
That Mr. Potato Head's full bring powers would have been just as relevant in that arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In most arcs, let's be honest.
I mean, I understand some characters you make, like, they don't have to have a humongous impact on the story, but when they are one of the bigger characters, you can't do that. Like, Chad should have definitely had some time to shine, but he really didn't get a lot at all, actually.
Yeah, in Chad's case, it was a case of can't catch up, and the author never went out of his way to actually make him catch up.
Early on...
It's understandable.
Early on, he was really cool with how he fought the Hollow without even being able to see it.
That was badass, and probably why he tried to make him a main
That was
character.
one of the most hilarious moments I've ever seen. He was just, Ruki was wondering if he could actually see it, and he was just throwing random punches at nothing in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, if you have potential for a character to be really awesome, don't make them a potato head. Don't be like, oh yeah, they could be replaced, and nothing would make a difference. And that's what a lot of shonen mangas do, is they take really awesome characters, and you reach a point where they're just potato heads. Like, DBZ is guilty of this.
Is it?
Yes.
Basically,
Unfortunately.
like, at least, you know, like, Yamcha, Tien, Shatsu, they all become potato heads. Krillin maintains some semblance of importance throughout the entire series, though. Typically.
Really?
Yeah, he does, actually. He's literally the most powerful human. That's Krillin.
Yeah. By a pretty wide margin, because the rest just see it as pointless.
Yeah. You know, and Piccolo never really even lost importance because he was always, you know, one of the main characters.
Hmm.
But a lot of the minor human characters just faded off into the distance.
Poor Yamcha. He was
I know,
never
he was-
useful.
Yeah.
Cybermen blew up on him, and that was it.
Yeah. And Chaozu and Tien were cool when you first met them. And then they disappeared into nothing.
Look, Vegeta, a Pokemon.
And somebody's got
Vegeta.
a big launch. I mean, somebody's got to bite that bullet.
Does anybody remember launch?
No.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done it with more with Goku, but no.
Akira Toriyama has gone out and said, my fans know more about Dragon Ball than I do.
Yeah, I can see that.
In fairness, I think that happens for a lot of authors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we did also bring up one specific example of a Mr. Potato Head character before we started recording. Poor Sakura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the best dang Mrs. Potato Head in the entire Naruto universe.
Does she get the annoying voice too?
Yes. She
Yes.
has a full string.
Yeah. So, Bell Test, she did nothing. Wave, she literally did nothing. Tuning exams. Fighting a Mr. Potato Head probably would have had exactly the same result.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So it would have been hilarious to see.
Sasuke Retrieval Arc. She did literally nothing. She had no
would have
role
been the-
playing that.
It would have been the equivalent of Sasuke walking out of the village and finding a Mr. Potato Head in the grass and being like, "Don't give me that look. You don't understand my pain."
and then hitting the Mr. Potato Head and walking away.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Sakura. So yeah, for the entirety of the first part of that story, she did nothing.
And even in the second part, she did pretty much nothing.
She did something in the Gara retrieval thing, and then that was pretty much it. That was, what's his name's attempt at giving her the spotlight
Yeah,
for a
it's
while.
pretty much nothing. But yeah, the Sasuke fight was. I actually liked Sakura for that. Like that was a moment where I was like, hey, I actually care about this character for right now. And then immediately afterwards,
She's forgotten again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes back to being Mrs. Potato Head.
So, in writing, you want to be able to avoid this, especially with main characters. I feel like I kind of do this a little bit with some of the other characters that I haven't had time to get around to developing in my own fix. Mainly because, honestly, the story doesn't focus on them too much. And that's okay.
I think it's forgivable in fan fiction. Like,
Yeah. A lot more so than in an actual, legitimate story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem with conservation of detail, I think. Because you don't write about the characters that aren't important.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of a sudden one of your main characters is not important in this particular story thread, then they're just not going to do anything, are they? They're just sort of sitting there, waiting for something interesting for them to happen. Because the author just doesn't have anything to give them. So that just goes on until they become important again. And that makes sense. A lot of the time, yes, you'll find it happens more in fan fiction, because people will have their favorite characters, and they will have their least favorite characters.
Not only that,
So-
but in a situation like if something happens and everybody reacts. In anime, you can just do a quick cut of their facial reaction, or maybe even a bit of dialogue. In fan fiction, that is a big ordeal, to have everyone in the room react in a unique way. Not only
Yeah, that's
that,
a question that we're going to get to this week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like an entire page of crap. That's just, you don't want to deal with that.
It's really you have to sort out in order to avoid having a peanut. Not peanut gallery. I was thinking of the wrong thing. In order to have a potato head as a main character, you want to. I guess the best way is make a list of important characters, and if you go a chapter without mentioning that character, think, why did I not mention this character, and am I going to mention this character again soon? Or do something with this character. Just make sure you don't forget is the main thing. Because it's...
Remember, at least acknowledge that they exist from time to time.
Yeah. And if it really has been a while since they've done anything, try to find some menial task they can do. I mean, even if they're like passing on the other side of the street and they're clearly doing some chore, like shopping for groceries or something.
Yeah. Make sure your characters aren't forgotten is the primary thing, because that's where this really stems from a lot of the time. It's either they're forgotten or you're just negligent. And if you're negligent, there's usually a reason for it.
I mean, what's his name again? Naruto guy. Author.
Yeah.
Kishimoto.
Thank you. He's pretty famous for saying at a panel when asked about what Sakura was going to be doing, he actually says, I totally forgot about her. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
It happens to everyone. You're not going to be able to remember everyone all the time, so try to keep a handle on it, but no one's going to blame you if someone falls by the wayside every now and again.
Yeah, especially if you have a cast any larger than maybe 4 people.
Yeah. And if you do forget them for a while, don't feel compelled to bring them up every 5 minutes. Just let them be by the wayside and then bring them up when they are really important and needed.
Yeah.
Because while Mr. Potato Head characters are a bad thing if they never do anything, it's okay to have characters that are only brought in for certain situations. That's what side characters are for. And it's fine for a main character to become a side character as time goes on. That's not a bad thing. It means the cast's changing and evolving as the characters grow and change. That's fine.
I can't really think of anything else to add to that one.
Anybody else want to say anything about Mr. Potato Head characters before we move on? Kurenai is another example. There you go.
Oh, God.
Poor Kurenai. Poor every female character.
At least Asuma died and had a purpose in dying.
Yeah.
Gee, what would that make Kurenai? Mr. Wombhead? Oh.
Oh. You have to say it like that.
Yes. That was her only purpose, to introduce Genjutsu, prove that it's useless, effectively, and then birth a child.
Yeah.
A trap of a child.
Yeah, kind of.
What? Oh, yeah, because we couldn't tell what gender it was. Okay. Yeah, so that's Mr. Potato Head characters. They're all over. Professional authors will have them. Fanfiction authors will have them. They're pretty much inevitable. It's just how you deal with having them. Alright. Next topic. Someone asked us when we did fight scenes. In what episode did we do fight scenes? I looked it up. 40 episodes worth of notes. We did first-person fight scenes in episode 13. That's it. So, yeah, how about we talk about fight scenes for a little bit?
Alright.
Ken, start us off, because you're Ken, and you're the fight scene guy.
Alright, whenever you, first of all, fight scenes just for the sake of having a fight scene, as in there's no build-up, there is no character intrigue, that's kind of useless. So, it's just a block of words. No one really wants to read a fight scene without any investment into why it's happening. So you can either artificially manufacture some by putting 2 characters that seem like they'd be cool to fight together, or you can build an issue over the course of, say, I don't know, a few chapters or so, at least. If you're in a hurry, if you need an action scene to break some monotony, you can, it's not hard to manufacture enough of a reason to have a fight scene. But about the actual fight scene itself, I follow 2 schools of logic of how to do them. If you don't feel like having you can do a really long epic one, or if you don't feel like doing that, you can, because most of the time when you're going to have a prolonged fight scene, your characters have enough techniques and ways to go about it that theoretically they can counter and end the fight scene at any given time, if not first shonen. So take inventory and category of the techniques and abilities of everyone involved in the fight, and think about the possible chain of events. What you know of that character from seeing their scenes in canon, what you know of them and how they fight. You need to know all this stuff. You can't just have someone go, fireball here, lightning attack here. That's a cool jutsu, I'll use it here, and we'll clash jutsu there. And then there'll be one left standing. There's an ebb and flow to the entire thing.
It's 5 seconds of dead air, so if someone want to pick it up for Ken right here.
I'm trying to think of a way to carry it up.
Like, my opinion generally with fight scenes is that, you also, like, even fight scenes, you can kind of display a character's personality a lot through how they fight. For example, this character really doesn't care about honor or anything, so yeah, they're going to do whatever dirty trick they can find. Like, they're going to kick up sand in your eyes, they're going to do whatever they can do to beat you. Whereas, on the opposite end, these are really...
Or this character is impatient, and so they'll just rush in and not take stock of the environment or what the other person might be trying to do, or any of that, and they'll just rush in and try and punch you in the face.
Yeah.
It's important to take into account what they can do, yes, like Ken said, but also why they would do it. Are they a strategic fighter that will just wait and see and then react? Or are they just, a battle maniac kind of character that'll just run in, give everything they've got immediately?
Yeah.
It's important what kind of character they are as well as what they can do.
Like, who is the character? Who do you want them to be? Who are they, and how would that affect how they fight? Is your character going to, like, use a lot of flashy attacks because they want to prove something to somebody who's watching? Are they going to try to use, like, a minimum amount of movements to just, finish this as soon as possible? To, like, finish this while still not showing off any special techniques or anything? Like, what are their goals in the fight? Rather than just, I want to destroy this person.
And that's something that can be conveyed in, like, action versus exposition, which is telling what's happening, like, oh, such and such throws a fireball at his face while he's coming down off of a landing from a jump. You can also go into, explaining how they're feeling during the fight when someone gets up or counters that technique or anything, which you can kind of go into depending on how you built it up, if you choose to build it up. You can also talk about how they're feeling as the fight transpires and goes on. And you can do that with just dialogue or narration about their thoughts, if that's how you're writing it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that adds depth to the fight beyond just, hey, cool things are happening. It's all interesting and, intricate fights going on. Yeah, punch, kick, whatever. All that's nice, but there's not much meaning to it. Unless you're deeply invested in how the fight's progressing, that's not going to be especially interesting for the people that are more interested in the characters that are in the fight rather than the fight itself.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is that sometimes, we're talking about a lot of this as if you're fighting mainly just people, but if your character is fighting, say, a monster or something, it's not going to be the same as if they're fighting a person. There's one side that has really motivations, and if you're fighting a mindless monster, you tend to not be thinking, oh, and have lots of motives behind this. It's more like this thing is trying to kill me, and I need to kill it first. And it's okay to be that simple if that situation does pop up. It's
also a good way to show your characters really using all of their techniques or their optimal fighting style rather than holding back or fighting attrition-wise or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot of dead air, too. I guess anyone got anything else to say about how to write fight scenes?
Don't feel like you have to use every technique that a character knows in a fight scene.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, there's also curb stomp fight scenes where you really just want a curb stomp to happen on one side. And usually that's, set out for, say, another fight, eventually a rematch or something. But when it comes to that, you don't have to make it extend horribly long.
There's two ways you could do a curb stomp fight, I think. There's the first way, which is the instant curb stomp fight. Basically, the fight ends in one punch because the gap is just that wide between the two fighters. And that's the kind of fight you probably want to have when this is a bit character, they're never going to show up again. You're basically just showing off how strong this other character is.
That, or I think when they retrieve get Tsunade, the Sasuke Itachi fight, where he catches his wrist with the Chidori, I think that would count.
Yeah, it's curb stomp.
Yeah. And then on the other side, I think the second method you could use for a curb stomp fight is the long, drawn-out, pseudo-torture style fight where they just keep going. The stronger character just lets the weaker character just keep going and trying and failing over and over again just to drive it in just how inferior the weaker character is. And that, I think, is the better method to use when you're going for a revenge style thing, where you want this weaker character to become strong so they can overcome this stronger character.
Yeah.
It's a very harsh lesson, but yeah. If that's what you need, then yeah.
Or maybe you just want it to be a curb stomp, and then suddenly, boom, reversal. Your character awakens a hidden power. Shonen.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that unless you've got a very, very good reason to do that.
This isn't Dragon Ball Z. Put the hair gel away.
Hell, you could have a curb stomp battle that ends in that, and then have the curb stomp continue. Because that's a nice twist on it, and I like that. That even with this superpower, they're still not good enough. Because I have seen far too many, oh, you are such an amazing, specific, special snowflake, that, you can get this power up and you are immediately strong enough to fight the strongest guy ever, and fuck off. I have no patience for that. I'm not interested.
I want to do that now. I want someone to have a power up in the middle of a fight and then still lose, and I want to use this exact line, oh, you're such a special snowflake, but you're still a snowflake.
I actually had...
That's a good line.
That's perfect.
I legitimately actually had a plan for that to end one of my fights with. No joke. I was actually going to power somebody up with some, okay, they got a really awesome power up. Now what? Oh, this is not going as good as we thought it would. The gap is still way too big.
Okay, Zero specifically wanted to talk about how to do multiple-person fight scenes when there's more than just one-on-one, because for the most part, that's pretty much what we've been talking about, when it's just one guy against one guy. Or
and when multiple fights are happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I've been going really slowly with my chapter because of this. Because I'm like, should I just do...
Okay, is the question multiple individual fights going on at the same time, or a big, massive fighting going on?
It's more like, say there's two enemies, and the group has split up to attack each separate enemy. and then they're like one group is split up to fight one. The group split up into like say 3 parts. One's going to fight the other one section. One's going to fight the other enemy, and then the others in the middle. And they're like, "What should we do?" And they're with the injured people. Like, do you just switch perspectives back and forth? But if you do that too much, then it gets really jarring. So do you focus on one and then just like every now and then throw in and this person, and they're doing fine over there. Yeah. Like, I guess the real tricky part is where do you focus what's important.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Ken.
What's the narration like?
Currently, it's more like there's mainly one character, and they're closer to one fight than the other. So they just, they look and they see, okay, if they're doing over there, just a slight little, like a few sentences about what's going on over there, and then back to more what's going on with the other fight. Like,
all right. In the case of multiple people fighting one person,
yeah.
When you're writing that scene, I would write it from the perspective of how the single person is responding to the attacks of and dealing with the multiple people himself. How how one person chooses to deal with the 3 instead of how the 3 people are choosing to deal with the 1. If you understand.
Oh, okay. Ooh, interesting.
That's probably the easier way to handle it, rather than try and have one of I assume it's the hero characters, try and fight while also keeping an eye on what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you do third person, but it's limited third person to it, where it's sort of in their perspective.
Yeah.
Right? So that would be tricky to try and keep track of everything. I remember trying to do a fight scene in first person like that. It's not fun to do.
Yeah,
so
it's tricky.
You're better focusing on where there's one versus 3 rather than one of the 3 versus the 1, because that's much easier to handle.
Yeah.
Because they have to keep an eye on everyone.
Yeah. Just note. Yeah, I know to our listeners. Yeah, I'm not the best at writing. I'd say that we all. I don't think anybody here thinks they're the absolute best at writing, but we have stuff we have to improve on too. So, yeah, everybody's got something to improve on, and it's hard writing multiple characters fighting in the same area. Especially with your, depending on your style, it increases in difficulty immensely.
Yeah. We lost Slicer temporarily, so I'm trying to get him back.
And if you feel like you need a breath from writing the 3-on-1 fight scene, you said there were characters on the sideline that were with wounded people, right?
Yeah.
You can switch to their perspective and see how they're seeing the fight, or how their reaction after something happens. In particular, if you need a breather.
It's good to have someone on the sidelines so that they can commentate, so to speak.
All right.
So the narration can be from their perspective. So it's not all right in the thick of it sometimes. Because, yes, being in the thick of it is cool and interesting and gives the most direct perspective on the fight. But if it's going to be long and drawn out, then it's good to have a character you can move back a bit, give the audience a bit of a breather, so to speak, and just give a more simplified perspective where there isn't the, holy shit, we're fighting, we might die and stuff, and there's none of that. There's none of the adrenaline. It's all calm and calculated. Okay, what's happening? This is happening. Okay, if this happens, how do I need to react and all this stuff? It's an easier perspective to write from, basically.
Alright. Time to delete some stuff. Yay.
There we go.
I hope it helps.
Friggin' internet.
Yeah, that was weird. Alright. Is that it for fight scenes? Are we done with fight scenes?
Yeah. I think we're good. Let's move on to questions now.
Okay, first question. from Seth LL7. I checked, and that is your name.
Johnny boy.
Seth, if there is a large peanut gallery, how many perspectives do you write from? Do you go through everyone's and say what all of them are thinking, or do you just narrow it down to one or two? Yes, narrow it down to one or two.
Yeah.
Unless there's a conflicting thought
You see
or
the
opinion.
Yeah. The difference between this and anime is anime you can show their expressions and just instant. Okay, you got it. You need one person, one or two people can comment, and the others are all like they haven't. If the reactions are basically the same, you can just write, all their jaws just drop.
Or you could just write one and then just say, okay, a lot of people are like this, but we'll just use this one as an example of what that reaction looks like. He's saying, "Oh my god," and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're done. You don't need to write that for everyone because, as you say, in a manga it's one panel. In literature, it's a paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Or more.
And if you have a whole bunch of different perspectives mixed in there, and I think that's where a lot of the problems come from, focus on one or two, and then afterwards you can have them reflect on what happened.
Yeah. Instead of having it as narration, have it as a conversation, so that they can go back and forth and talk about how it's going.
Rather than, I want to mention Dragon Age, and even though it's game mechanics instead of actual, writing, it's you do something, and then you can go back and you can talk to each of the characters, and they all have their own perspectives on what just happened. You can do something akin to that, where you don't have to necessarily have everybody with you, and you get their perspectives, and everybody else has to react to it too later. If you really, really need to show their perspectives, because you don't always need to do that.
Yeah. So basically, there is absolutely no need to do everyone. Just do the ones that are really important, and then summarize, basically, for everyone else. Or make it a conversation. Conversations are always fun, because then basically you have a fight commentator that's going on. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Also, the text size and font I have my text on when I read, that stuff takes up 2, sometimes even 3 pages.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Okay, next question from Neil. Are Ryu and Akuma Blood Knights? Akuma, yes.
Yes, Akuma.
Ryu...
Ryu is...
a reluctant Blood Knight.
I'm not even going to say he's reluctant.
So he's just a Blood Knight then?
Pretty much. The only thing he actually cares about is fighting.
Okay.
It's fighting evil, but it's...
Yeah. It's still fighting.
Actually, it's not even fighting evil. He just wants to fight, and if there's something evil, he wants to fight it so he can destroy it.
Yay! He wants to
He
fight
really
it.
doesn't care.
I suppose it could be assumed that would be a good fight. If you're trying to destroy something, it's going to fight back with equal whatever.
It's going to fight back with everything it has, because you're trying to destroy it.
Yeah.
He just wants to fight on the streets.
Damn you.
I'm sure that's a reference to something.
It's Street
Street
Fighter.
Fighter.
Oh, shiny. Callback. Okay. Right. So, next question, also from Neil. So, when writing an AU, where lots of things are different, how do you inform the readers of the changes to what would have been canon? This is a pretty simple answer. You treat it like it's just an entirely new story.
Yeah.
Like there is no canon to base it on. You establish everything.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do it all in the first chapter.
No, you don't have to do it. Treat it like it's just an entirely original story that you're writing.
Yeah.
So you have to establish things as they come up, but you still have to establish them. I mean, fan fiction, we are kind of spoiled in that we don't have to do that because everyone already knows most of the things that are going on. Crossovers, you need to be a little bit more focused on establishing for the people that have read one side and not the other side. But generally speaking, we're okay with not bothering to establish a lot of things.
You'll rarely get called out on it, yeah.
When I was writing my main story, I started from the change, and I was like, okay. And I spent the next couple chapters explaining, okay, this is different, this is different, this is different. Like, the changes are the story. which you can do too. You know, it depends on where you're setting your AU. Like, is your AU if a certain choice was different, or is your AU like this is completely different? All the characters are different. This is a different world type thing.
Yeah.
Like
if it's a want of a nail, then the story starts from the change, and then you move the story forward from there.
Yeah.
There's no jumping forward from that point. That's the start of the story, and then it keeps going. If you just entirely in an AU universe, where a lot of things are different, then treat it like it's your own independent canon, where there is no original story to base it off of.
Yeah.
This is just you and your story.
Give us enough to go on, and then just go forward with it. Leave the rest to unravel itself.
Yeah.
Anything else for that one?
No, I think we got it.
Okay, recommendations. I can go first if you like, though I've got to open my fucking alerts. I would like to second whoever suggested a Demon Lord's Hero. I think it was Ken.
It was Slicer. I seconded it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're thirding it.
Okay, well, it was pretty damn good, so it's worth thirding. So, yeah, that was a fun story. You can definitely see the fingerprints of a Demon Among Devils in that one.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely see it, especially when you get to things like Kokabiel's introduction and such.
Yeah. I read that before I got to any canon material with him in it, so that was really confusing to see the canon version, which is just utter trash compared to him in that fic.
He's so awesome with that pick, isn't he?
I know, and it's bad, because now that's my ideal canon interpretation of him.
We really need to get to canon destroying fics at some point soon.
Yeah.
Because that is a good example of one. Yeah. Also, it seems to have started giving Zenobia a bigger role, which I appreciate because she never gets one.
Mm-hmm.
And she's one of my favorite characters in the series. So, you know. It's a shame. But I'm glad to see it, so yay. And her reactions to something is awesome. And hilarious. Yeah. Okay. And my actual recommendation is I'm Still Here by Catherine 518.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not 6, it's 5. It's 518.
Think she's a Kenshi fan?
No. If it's a she, there's an 80% chance that then definitely no.
Well, she's writing a harem story.
Huh.
Yeah. So, this is Harry Potter time travel fic called I'm Still Here. Only time travel by another means. It's not Harry intending to go back, it's Voldemort going back. And this is basically an end-of-the-world scenario. Every magical is dead except for the few Death Eaters, and Voldemort's still left, and Harry. And all Harry has left is just destroying Voldemort. So when Voldemort does some sort of ritual trying to go back into the past, Harry doesn't go back into the past to, save the world or anything like that. He just goes back to kill Voldemort because that's all he has left in his life.
That is a unique take on it, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
And he goes back, and the way Voldemort decided to do the ritual was basically he wanted to go where there was no Harry Potter to get in his way. So he goes to an alternate universe where there is no Harry Potter, there is a James and Lily Potter, and there is also an Iris Potter.
I see.
Yeah, you know where this is going. So, 4 pseudo-sisters in the family, and his parents are alive, and he wants nothing to do with them, because everyone he knows and cared about has died, and he's kind of considers himself cursed and such.
Well, yeah, it's just people wearing your friends' faces. It's not them. That's horrible.
And it's pretty damn great. Very much about establishing characters. So the thing we talked about this week, it's kind of a big deal to this author, and she spends a lot of time on it.
Hmm.
I mean, it's... How long is it so far? 215,000 words. He has had one conversation with Hermione and his sister at this point.
Wow.
To clarify, Hermione is one of the characters featured in the description. So, yeah, one conversation. It's pretty great. Definitely worth reading if you're a Harry Potter fan.
Mm.
Goes back to some point. I'll be honest. Since I read this like start to finish yesterday, I think, and I've forgotten a large amount of it, and I might just read it again.
You may as well. I mean, if you read some all in one sitting, that can happen. You forget the smaller details, and even some of the bigger ones.
Yeah. So, very good fic. Don't get put off by the poem/song thing at the beginning, because that's not a thing. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Who else wants to go?
I have a light novel I want to recommend. Actually, I have a bajillion of them, but I'm going to recommend just one. It's called The Epic Tale of the Forsaken Hero. Or, if you want Japanese, it's Suta Ruwa Reta Yusha no... I can't even say it.
Link.
I could totally spell that.
It's weird. Anyways, the premise of this... I'm just linking the translated chapters thing.
Thank you.
The premise of this is that an entire class gets summoned to another world to be the heroes, but the main character is the one who was kind of bullied and hated by everybody else. And everybody gets in there, they get cheat abilities, and they're like, oh man, we're super awesome, we got high stats, and his stats are all 1. Just across the board, just 1.
You've recommended this one before, I believe.
No,
Sounds familiar.
This is actually, I have recommended this one. There's lots of stories like this, but this one's really interesting.
You recommended the story where the protagonist's power was shield or something.
That was, whatever. That was something else. But the premise of this is they go into this whole dungeon, and his entire class abandons him and uses him as bait, and he dies. And in this game, it's not even a game. It's in this world. It's permadeath, obviously. And he wakes up and he's still alive. And it turns out his unique skill that he got was Revenge of the Resented. And so his goal in this is to kill all the heroes.
Wow.
Yeah, there really are a lot of stories like this, because this is exactly like a story you told us about before.
Mm. Yeah, if you want, I can recommend a different story, because I have...
Wait, is he sort of ambivalent about the love interest?
No.
And she's like the only one that liked him and stuff?
No.
Was nice no, okay.
Alright, yeah, that's different then.
No, he basically has an ability for every two times he dies, he can make a new slave contract or something. That's dead. They have to be dead. He brings them back to life. And they're his slave. And basically he finds out all the dungeon bosses were like generals of an old army, and he's their hero. He's the hero for the opposing side. So he has to go through dungeons, kill them, make them like his slave, and his goal is to kill all the heroes, because he really, really, really doesn't want to. And he actually does start murdering them. Just like he feels no qualms about it. And one of his classmates got betrayed too, and he turns her over to his side, and they start going out and murdering people. It's a really interesting kind of story, and I want to see where it goes.
I suppose alternatively, he could just wait till the heroes finish the dungeon and go in there and resurrect the boss.
No, but he's got like stat boosts because he died so many times. Like every time he dies, he gets a stat boost, but at the same time, his body's vulnerable immediately after he dies. And he goes into this weird abyss place where it's horrible. So yeah, I'm recommending that. I also want to just, so I can immediately get all these off my chest, I'll put a link to where I find a lot of the light novels I like to read. It's it's on Potato. There's a whole list of recommendations for light novels that are like this or other worlds, fantasies type stuff, whether it be reincarnation, transportation, or just pure fiction, or even virtual reality. It has a whole list of fanfics, actual stories. It's really good. You can use that to waste away your life, like I do.
Oh. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah. I guess. Wait, does Ken have one?
I don't. That's what I was going to say. You fuckers made me play Persona 3 all week. I didn't do anything else.
Recommend Persona.
Not going to do that.
Persona 3.
No, I'm pretty sure you've all recommended it for the last year, so I'm not going to do that.
Whatever.
Orpheus.
Anyway, mine is called Sleep. You just shut your computer off, grab your blanket, wrap yourself in it like a burrito, and then just lay down. God, I'm tired.
Like a burrito, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Better than a pig in a blanket.
I can't sleep like that.
I typically
sleep anywhere that isn't like that.
I typically wake up and all my blankets are all over the place except for on me. Like, I kicked all my blankets off the bed. So.
I sleep in the nude, so I'd be cold if I didn't have a blanket wrapped around me.
Fantastic.
Okay, fan fiction authors that listen to this. Get going. Oh, ew.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Yep. So, I would like to thank everybody for listening to the Fandom Flux Podcast, episode 64. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so through the Blogspot page of the comments, our own personal profiles on fanfiction.net, or through the YouTube channel through the comments. Please donate on Patreon if you feel so inclined. Someone was having trouble and didn't realize that was how we do it. We put a link to it every week in both the link dump on the Blogspot page and in every episode, the description on the Fandom Flux Podcast YouTube episodes.
Nintendo 64! We are at least as good as that. Not really.
Yeah, I was considering doing something with Nintendo, but it's 64 because it's 64-bit. That's not a big deal. We can't attribute that to Nintendo. Once again, I would like to thank everybody for listening to Fandom Flux Podcast episode 64. Bye now.
Bye.
See you, people. And by which I mean good night.
Yeah, don't forget to donate on Patreon so Casey can buy some underwear.